John D. Villarreal. Wow. Hey, it's Wednesday, October 16th. It's getting crazy. I'm rocking my Rumble shirt here, live on Rumble, live on Facebook, live on X, live on YouTube. I'm going to be joined by Paul F. Villarreal. He's putting up a post right now on X, and big show, lots to talk about. We're going to go through all kinds of stuff right here. I mean, it's just unbelievable every day. I want to talk about the economic club clip where Trump did that. The reason I want to talk about that is Trump's about to be, Vice President Kamala Harris is about to be interviewed by Bret Baier. It may be actually going on right now. And I wonder, will Bret be anywhere near as tough? Now, I think Bret's going to be Bret. And I'm not dissing, and there's been a lot of back and forth on Bret's X platform about, what she should ask, and maybe some people sort of criticizing him and stuff like that early on, and what, in my opinion. But here's the thing. Listen, total respect. Glad they're doing it. Looking forward to seeing it. I'm sure Bret will do a good job I'm sure Bret will do what Bret's going to do. But at the same time, no one's holding their breath for that interview. The idea that it's going to be some super, now she's going to face tough questions. We'll see. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as tough as the economic club questions that, that President Trump had to endure, okay, from the Bloomberg editor, okay? And so that was the thing right there. And we want to talk about the polls and versus the poly market. I want to talk about early voting. We want to talk about the Trump town hall. We're going to talk about a little bit of immigration. We're going to talk about tariffs. We're going to talk about Biden and Obama at church. They did not look too happy. We're also going to talk about Mark Halperin and Tucker Carlson. There's just so much to talk about. No doubt about it. I can't wait to go through all this stuff with you. Let's see how Paul's doing right now, if he's ready to jump in on this. I'm going to start getting some clips. We're going to start analyzing stuff. We're going to talk all about it. How you doing, Paul? You ready or you're not ready yet?
I'm a bit ready, about 10 seconds or 20 seconds.
All right, cool. So let's start with, where do I want to go with this? Let's start with this. I actually am going a little bit out of order just for a second. Okay. I'm going to go a little bit out of order for a second, but I think the news right now is, and a lot of people had it up. Benny Johnson, Hat Tip Benny Johnson has this up right here. A lot of people have this up. I mean, you've got President Obama and President Biden, and this was at the Kennedy, I think, funeral eulogy or whatever. And our hearts and prayers and thoughts and prayers go out to the Kennedy family in this tragic time. But you can see these two. There's really no sound. C-SPAN here. Oh, there's some sound, but just, it's towards, but you look at this back and forth. I mean, I don't know, dude. That did not look like, it's hard to know, but that didn't look like happy times right there. That did not, Penny Johnson, this looks bad. I have to agree. This does not look like happy times right there between these two. And there's a back and forth. They both seem a little bit concerned. Who knows, right? World figure, sitting president, anything can be said. But I just felt like that's sort of interesting. And then you've got, President Clinton over here. But this looked pretty serious. They don't look, I don't know. It's not like you're going to have a party at a funeral either. You know what I mean? So I don't want to read too much into it. And then Nancy Pelosi there. Very, very interesting. Hold on. You got Nancy Pelosi here. You've got President Bill Clinton here, President Obama here, President Biden here. Who knows? This is definitely tea leaf reading right here and stuff. But I don't know. What do you make of that? All right. So that's one thing right there. I wanted to start with that. Now, where I want to go now, and this is really where I was thinking I was going to start, is there's just so many places here. There's so much stuff here. It's not even funny. It's just, I want to talk about this stuff, and hat tip to Colin Rugg. He shows up on my Twitter feed. I don't know much about him. I know he's got a big following. So again, anything I show here, I'm not endorsing anything. I don't if I see something, I like it, whatever. It doesn't mean I'm endorsing or not endorsing. It has no commentary whatsoever on who posted it. Okay. I don't want to play those games with the Democrats, but if I see something, a clip that I like, I'm going to we're going to talk about it, and I want to give a credit or a hat tip or whatever to whoever put this up. Particularly this from Colin Rugg, because I think it was a good distillation. I watched the whole thing on the Economic Club of Chicago, and I want to bring this here. So let's discuss this right here. We're going to play it, and then we're going to get into it. Okay. Let me see if I have it right. There's so many things here. Hold on. Wait a minute. I've got like a lot of them here. Okay. 1 second. I think this is it. Here we go. Okay. So let's tee this up and let's see what Trump has to say here with the sound, and let's go.
I think it's the greatest job in government. You show up to the office once a month and you say, let's see, flip a coin. And everybody talks about you like you're a god. Oh, what will he do? I mean, before, the guy used to walk into my office, he was like begging.
Now, a couple things here I want to say. You're not really seeing the pointed questions and the sort of back and forth and the contentiousness of the interviewer's questions in this. This is distillation. The other thing is, I would say some of us characterize this, and maybe that's right. Like, it seemed like maybe the crowd wasn't totally with Trump at first and stuff, but at the end of it, Paul, I want you to come in here in 1 second. At the end of it, Trump literally had a standing ovation from this crowd. Paul, you had comments.
Yeah, let me just say this. Look, I don't know if I agree with that. Okay. I watched the event and I watched it. I actually thought the crowds were Trump pretty much the whole time.
Okay, because I heard that. I wasn't sure if that was right or wrong. Go ahead.
Yeah, somebody had said that the crowd wasn't with him at first. I don't agree with that. I think the crowd was with him the entire time. And which is good. It just shows you. But what someone else said was that was different than last year or his last appearance there. Last year or whatever he was last there, they weren't with him, but they were with him now. Maybe that's because of those people that are the wealthy people realize Trump is better for them than what they're getting right now.
Okay, let's continue with this here. Where am I? Okay, right here.
He was fine.
But you did talk about you talked about removing him once.
I did, because he was keeping.
So there we go. I mean, you can see this guy coming in here, and he just constantly would try to get guys' little notes there and everything like that, and ready to pounce on Trump. And I mean, a lot of people felt like this dude was pretty contentious. Braithwaite, I can't remember exactly what his last name is and stuff like that. That's editor for Bloomberg. Okay, now here we go.
The rate's too high.
Yeah.
And I was right. What does the Wall Street Journal know? They've been wrong about everything. So have you, by the way. You've been wrong about
You're trying to turn.
Oh, see, now it was great. And he had the crowd there. See, it's not about getting personal, but if you saw this was well into it. Like, this dude kept hammering Trump. And listen, there's one thing about having an interview and having a tough interview and having, fair questions, and instead of a softball interview. Nobody expects a softball interview. And Kamala Harris, in my opinion, Vice President Harris, rather, has been getting a lot of softball interviews. And, we'll see how much Brett Baer, challenges her. And I would refer people to, if we're going to see, let's see if Brett Baer's interview comes even half as tough as this interview with Trump. And this was over an hour for Trump. So let's just see what happens there. And I think Brett gets a half an hour with her. Well, and maybe there's some filibustering, but this dude kept going after Trump. And at some point, Trump, turn it on him and stuff like that. So I want to continue with this. And then, Paul, you had a quick comment, Paul?
Yeah, I just want to say the guy's name is John Micklethwaite.
Micklethwaite, that's right.
Editor-in-chief, I believe.
Of Bloomberg. Yeah, here we go.
You're trying to turn this.
You've been wrong.
No, you're trying to turn this into debate. There are business people. There are business people.
You're wrong. You've been wrong.
There's business people. There's CEOs. It's the economic. We know that, bro. Try to get the audience on his side, stuff like that. Like, hey, bro, if I came out and for you, so this dude, okay, this was about tariffs. We're going to go to tariffs later. And we're going to talk about that. And a great clip on CNBC about tariffs and a good explanation there. And, I'm someone that been a free trader all my life and wasn't like, I was a little nervous about tariffs, but Kudlow and others talk about it. And I don't want to steal the thunder from this clip. But, what Trump is saying is like, listen, you've been against this stuff forever. This is why I did it. I did it before. It worked for us. And you could have a debate on that. Now, if I came in and I had a strong position on something for whatever it is, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, then I don't think it's unfair to have to answer for that. I mean, a lot of these interviewers like, I'm going to ask the questions. You can't ask the questions. Something else. Like, dude, it doesn't work that way. It's a conversation. That's the way it should be, especially when it's like this fireside chat format. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's okay to have a back and forth on that. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Let's continue.
Wrong. You've been wrong all your life on this stuff. We're going to put tariffs on them, and they're going to do, and you know what they can do? The Mercedes-Benz will start building in the United States, and they have a little bit, but you know what they really are? Assembly, like in South Carolina. But they build everything in Germany, and then they assemble it here. They get away with murder because they say, oh, yes, we're building cars. They don't build cars. They take them out of a box and they assemble them.
So what happened here, again, these are clips, and I hat tip again to Colin Rugg. Go ahead and check out his page on X, stuff like that. It's got like 1.5 million followers, something like that, 1.5 million. I don't know, a lot. And again, I'm not endorsing anybody or anything like that, but I definitely want to give credit on the clip. But what's not, because it's a clip, it's a short clip, it's a short, 5 things put together in a clip. What's not fully explained here that Trump did explain in his answers. Listen, we can't sell in a lot of these countries. You can't sell a Ford car. You can't sell a GM car, but we're taking their cars here. Now, again, there's a good explanation of this. And even I think Becky Quick on CNBC was like, oh, wow, that was a really good explanation. So I don't want to jump that and steal that thunder, but I just want to add a little background on that because you may not get that full context there of Trump saying, listen, we have to do something vis-a-vis the tariffs because we can't sell. There isn't really free trade. We can't sell in some of these countries. So that's really the genesis of what that's about. Let's continue.
We can have our child do it.
Tariffs also have another side. Isn't that something that you have to acknowledge?
No.
You could be plunging America into the biggest trade war since Smoot-Hawley.
But there are no tariffs.
You're going to stop. There are tariffs already.
No, there are no tariffs. All you have to do is build your plant in the United States, and you don't have any tariffs.
Think about what that dude's saying right there. So it's okay for China, Japan, EU, all these other places to have these massive tariffs on us. And again, there's a couple of little logical fallacies here. So the idea is that we have no tariffs whatsoever and Trump's going to ruin everything. Do you understand that Trump did put tariffs in? Biden didn't take them out, from what I understand. So they're already in here. So are we in a trade war now? So what's going on? And so it's okay for all these other countries to have tariffs on us. But if we do tariffs, then it's a trade war. Like, come on. And again, Trump has a good answer to this. And I think, some of these other Trump surrogates have a good answer as well. And we'll continue here.
People, a lot of places like.
How about this? Gavin Newsom, he's the governor of California.
Newsom.
He signed Newsom, I call him.
Yeah. But do you think?
No, he corrected me. He corrected me. I said, that's the first time I've been corrected.
There are CEOs out here. If they said those sort of things about a rival CEO, they'd be sacked. Do you think it's fine for a president?
But they don't have to survive like me. They don't have to go through what I have to go through. There's never been a president that's been treated like me, so I have to fight my own way.
So, Trump does the personal stuff and whatnot, and there's criticisms. I mean, you understand why he does it, and there's definitely criticisms of it. And I think that point there is that he has been super attacked. I mean, Trump's been super personally attacked. Doesn't mean two wrongs make a right or anything like that. Go ahead.
Yeah. Nobody cares about that.
Yeah, nobody
That's
cares
totally
about that.
irrelevant. That doesn't mean anything. The interviewer only brought it up to try to trip Trump up. The interviewer, I'm not going to say the interviewer was adversarial. He wasn't, but he certainly wasn't doing Trump any favors. And to bring up something as simple as that's just silly. That's like, that didn't have to be brought up. He didn't need to do that. So that kind of gives you a sense of what the tenor of the interview was. But the bottom line is Trump dominated that interview.
Did.
Absolutely crushed that interview. And there's no way around that. And everybody that watched it knows that.
Yeah. It felt very adversarial to me. Not super, but significantly. And kept interrupting you. And like Trump says, no one's ever corrected me. Here's the thing. It's not and maybe people disagree with me. I mean, there's this new thing in journalism. You got to push back on Trump. You got to fact check him in real time. I don't feel like, like if I was interviewing Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, and she wanted to say whatever about Trump, that's her right to say that. Like, in other words, like you have to let the candidates stand on their own. You know what I mean? Like, if she wants to say, I don't know, I mean, I'm just I don't know, whatever, make something up, doesn't matter. Like, I mean, it's one thing to say like, hey, we actually lowered immigration, crossings. Well, that's not in my opinion, from what I understand, that's not factually true. Challenge on a fact. If she wants to say, Trump's the biggest threat, again, you have to have something fact-based. For you to say that you shouldn't say that about Trump shouldn't make the nicknames. Trump makes the nicknames. That's a
joke.
It's then it's a right.
A total joke.
It's a total joke, dude. And then
that's the reason why I interrupted you in the first place.
You're good.
I'm not taking the premise that it's personal. No, it isn't. It's a joke. If for him to get stuck on that shows you where the interviewer was coming from.
Right.
And yes, he was coming like that the entire interview. The only reason I said it wasn't adversarial was he, for the most part, Micklethwaite let Trump do what he wanted to do. He didn't get upset and so on and so forth. But that's like David Muir fact-checking Trump at the debate. You didn't need to do that. You shouldn't do that.
Well, and I want to be careful what I say because I don't want this to be misconstrued in any way or anything like that. But, a CEO would be sacked. And so, bro, like, I don't know. I mean, you're in an economic club and Mark Andreessen had something to say about this. I'm not going to post that. Mark Andreessen, big venture capitalist, A16Z and stuff like that. My daughter over here, beautiful daughter, Janair, she may walk in at any point. We don't know. I will refer you to Mark Andreessen's page and you can see what you think about that. I'm not going to post it here, but it's like, you represent Bloomberg. You're the editor of Bloomberg. You're interviewing President Trump for U.S. election. I don't want to nitpick. I don't want to get, but I mean, just again, Mark Andreessen had some very interesting comments. I got to be very careful. I say it, but let me just say this: like, if I went to England and was interviewing, I don't know, Prime Minister there or the Queen or the King of England, Prince Charles, stuff like that, and I'm like, how y'all doing? And we're going to go to a rodeo, stuff like that. I mean, it's not a big. I can't say this without saying this. It's hard to really. I'm trying to.
Yeah, but I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm not going to get too. I'm not going to get too into.
Yeah.
It's not a big. It's not a big deal. But I mean, some people are questioning. And I'm not saying that if the interviewer was coming off as pretentious. I feel, again, I think that when and I'm not saying I'm the world's greatest interviewer, but I've been called a pretty good interviewer and stuff like that. But when you look at Rogan, you look at Tucker Carlson, a lot of people do believe are very, very good interviewers, and particularly Rogan and even Howard Stern back in his heyday, stuff like that. You have to it's not about pandering, and you want to be authentic. And if that's the way you talk, that's the way you talk, and that's fine. But I think it's about, and again, we're for peace, love, opportunity, freedom for everyone, no generalizations and discrimination or anything like that. Right. But I think that trying to be a good interviewer is, of course, bringing your own worldview and sensibility and whatever to it. Like if Kamala Harris goes on the Breakfast Club, they're going to be the Breakfast Club. Right. And you expect that. But I think it's also about meeting the interviewer where they're at. Meaning the interviewee where they're at, okay, and allowing them. My job as an interviewer is to bring the best out of that interviewee and bringing that to the audience, if that makes sense, right? I don't try to. Right? Does that make sense, Paul? I don't try to change them.
Look, I'll give you a perfect example. One of the best interviews I've seen of President Trump this entire cycle was Theo Vaughn.
Yes.
Because Theo Vaughn went to where Trump was.
Right.
He met him where Trump is, instead of trying to be pretentious or coming down from on high or any of that.
Right. Now, granted, if a member of the foreign press interviews Trump or something like that, then that's fine, and we understand what that is. Or if we go over and interview Prime Minister Macron or something like that, and we're going to show a clip from Macron, then that's different. But I think it's really, you want to be. That's what I'm saying. You want to be authentic with who you are, right, and your brand, but also the main thing is to bring the interviewee to the audience as not so much unfiltered, but as authentic as possible. Your job is not to change the interviewee up. Trump is in the middle of a campaign. If that's how he wants to campaign, he can campaign that way. If Kamala Harris wants to campaign talking about abortion or, Trump is a threat to democracy, whatever that is, you got to let her campaign the way she wants to campaign. And so again, challenge the facts, don't challenge the style, I guess, is that maybe that's the easiest way to say that. I hope I made some sense of that. And again, this is live, and I apologize ahead of time if I make a mistake, and I may make a mistake working without the net here, and I reserve the right to revise and extend. But I don't want to. Again, I don't want to. And I would see what Mark Andreessen said. And like the late great Rush Limbaugh says, the audience is very smart. You can see what Mark Andreessen and others have been saying about this, and I'm not saying I'm not putting it up there because I'm not saying I'm endorse or condone or whatever like that. I'm not. I would just say that other people are talking about this, and I don't want to hammer that point longer than that. But I mean, you're talking about a top name in Silicon Valley. So I think other people have had a somewhat similar reaction to that. I want to move on. So okay. Now, I will say this. This is okay, to sticking with the tariffs, because I think we need to close the loop on that. Here is Howard Lutnick, okay, CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald and a member of the Trump transition team. And I think this is a good clip here. Again, hat tip Colin Rugg. He's been on a tear with the good clips here. And let's see what Howard Lutnick had to say, because I think this makes the point on the tariff portion of it, okay? Let's see here. I think, yes. 1 second. Okay. And here we go.
And of course, it's a bargaining chip. We can't sell a Ford or GM in Europe. You go to Europe, you can't sell a Ford or GM. Why? There's 100% tariffs. How about in Japan? 100% tariffs. So do you think if we said, we're going to tariff you the way you tariff us, do you think they're going to allow Mercedes and all these Japanese companies and Porsches and BMWs to all of a sudden have 100% tariffs in America? Of course not. They're going to come and negotiate, and their tariffs are going to come down.
See, there you go. That's what we're talking about. And listen, Ronald Reagan, I believe Reagan, I mean, like a lot of people have been talking about this for a long time, how you had, other countries dumping steel in here. I remember when Isuzu was coming over here and the people were worried about Japanese steel being dumped over here. I remember when, and it could be, and I think Canada, like we have a hard time, exporting food some places, timber some places. Different countries have different things that they're concerned about. And the point of it is that if all these free traders that want totally free trade, great, but I'm with you. How do you get there? And he's going to exploit. You know what I mean? Like if you don't go.
Yeah, the bottom line is this isn't free trade.
That's right.
They are imposing things against us, and we are letting them come in with nothing against them. That's not a free trade situation.
Exactly. And what Trump has said before is that we're suckers, and we've been suckers. And so, Trump and
suckers.
We've been suckers, and Trump's trying to change.
And what he said is people like Shinzo Abe said, yeah, I knew you were going to bring this up because we know it's not fair.
Yes,
and Trump's not going to stand for that, which is exactly what we want him to be thinking.
100%. Let's continue.
And finally, Ford and General Motors are going to be able to sell in these places.
How's that sound?
Of course they're going to come down. Of course. This is just negotiating.
It absolutely makes sense. If you do it strategically, if it's across the board.
Oh, Andrew Ross Sorkin, you're getting on board, huh, buddy?
It's negotiating, just like Trump does with everything else.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to do big tariffs. There's two things Trump wants to accomplish. One, he wants to get you to drop your tariffs on our stuff.
Right.
That's where the negotiation comes in. And number two, he wants you to have the factory in the United States so that you don't have to have a tariff. That's what this is all about. Anybody with that understands all this knows that.
Yes. Let's continue.
It creates a real problem. And the question is whether you believe the president is going to do it strategically or across the board. He keeps saying it across the board.
Okay, ARS, Sorkin, buddy, he's already done it, and it was working. You think that
That's why Biden kept it.
This is what kills me, Paul, is you got these people like Micklethwaite and ARS here, and others like, oh, and Trump's gonna. The dude,
right, like it never happened before.
Like it's never happened before, number one. And number two, like he's some rube. The dude is a multi-billionaire. Exactly. He's got these other billionaires like Lutnick, like Ackerman, like you know, the dude from Home Depot. So many other people that respect the dude, that worked for the dude, Lighthizer and oh gosh, I'm blanking right now. Navarro, but there was the other one that the dude that's done movies before and stuff like that. Oh, why am I blanking? Mnuchin. So many of these dudes that respect the dude and work. The richest dude in the world, Elon Musk, dude, who just caught a rocket. Man, it's unbelievable. I mean, like you're seeing, this is the Atlas Shrugged election. You're seeing these total leaders stepping up, like you got, they've characterized Trump so much in the media. And they've got some TDS that they act like Trump doesn't know anything, and he doesn't go ahead, Paul.
And just coming back to all this from the top about all of this and the Bloomberg interview, and then talking about the tariffs and the questioning, is Brett Baer, who is talking to Kamala Harris right now, is he going to be this tough with her as all these people are to Trump and Trump's surrogates? That's the question that we want to know.
I'm going to predict it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Right.
I think there'll be a couple of questions that are a follow-up or, he pressed it. I think it's going to be milquetoast. I think it's going to be, Fox corporate stuff. I think it's going to be, Tim Ryan or Paul Ryan. Yeah, Paul Ryan approved. Again, now listen, I'm going to be very, very, very clear about this. I'm not impugning Brett Baer. I'm not saying that anyone's had any hand in some people are like, the questions. I think he's totally doing it totally legit. I think he came up with his questions. Yep. I don't think he handed it to him. I think he's doing a Brett Baer interview. But I mean, like I said about Kamala Harris, she is who we thought she was, to paraphrase off the late great, Denny Green. So is Brett Baer. I don't think Brett Baer is going to become a different kind of questioner interviewer here. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be fine. I think it's going to be fair. I mean, look at how Brett Baer and Megyn Kelly treated Trump in the presidential debate years ago. How is this going to be much different? You know what I mean? They all I'm saying is, and other people have said this too in a different way, like a long time ago when I was talking to Paul, when he's switching from being a Democrat to, sort of more independent, stuff like that. And I'm like, you don't need a conspiracy for it. People with power and money want more power and money. A lot of these anchors, go look at Brett Baer's house. A lot of these anchors, like they make massive money. And someone else was saying, like someone showed, maybe it's probably, it was Megyn Kelly. It showed Martha Raddatz. And I'm not advocating this or, for doxing anything or anything like that. Obviously she's a major public figure, and I'm not accusing Megyn Kelly of doing that. But I think she's talked about how much her house was worth and has a big mansion. She has a mansion and wherever. And I'll just leave it at that. But the point is that, Caitlin Collins knows who she works for. Brett Baer knows who he works for. You know what I mean? Megyn Kelly knew who she worked for. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You know what it is. You can't, and so if you have a major show on MSNBC, and again, I'm not alleging anything, whatever like that. These are all public figures in my personal opinion. If you have a major show on MSNBC, it's hard to, it would be hard to make that into, I don't know. I mean, a MAGA show. You know what I mean? You're not going to be able to you're not going to be able to act, you're not going to be able to act like Sean Hannity or I don't know who, on MSNBC. It's not going to work. And that Sean Hannity's not even like the super, whatever. But, Sean's out there doing his thing. But, and that's what I'm trying to talk about. So, and even Sean Hannity's, I think the Brett Baer interview is going to be, okay. All right. So this is the thing, if the supposition is somehow she's going to do, you know what it's going to be. She did really good. Well, I don't know what's going to be, but if they have the supposition, it's going to be like somehow like, wow, this is going to change the mind of a lot of conservatives. No, it's not. No, it's not. Fox News does not have that level of pull anymore. Okay, because it's a different deal. Let's see her go and do that with Tucker Carlson now. Let's see her go do that with Joe Rogan now. So it's very interesting. Anyway, I want to get back to this. We have a lot of ground to cover here.
Well, when you're running for office, you make broad statements so people understand you. Right. Okay, tariffs are an amazing tool by the president to use. They're an amazing tool, but he understands. Don't tariff stuff we don't make. Right? If we don't make it and you want to buy it, I don't want to put the price up there. It's pointless. But use tariffs to build in America. If we want to make it in America, tariff it, or if we're competing with a tariff it. But you got to remember, we need to protect the American worker.
All right, let me explain that. That's a very, very good point. Free trade, we're all for free trade because different countries have competitive advantages. What you're trying to do is get to the most efficient standpoint possible. How can you? I mean, again, economics is very complicated, but very, very simple. So, I'm really, really good at law and economics, stuff like that. So you're trying to make an environment where you have the highest productivity possible and the most amount of people working as possible, obviously, but, still being pro-family and everything like that. Those different discussions too, related, but different. And the point of it is what they're saying is, listen, if we want to make it here, then you may want a tariff to protect the industries here. And there's certain industries that are critical, for national security, like, steel, manufacturing, stuff like that, pharmaceuticals. Look what happened with the pandemic. What happens if we have a hostile situation with China, stuff like that? What happened? What would have happened if 90% of our pharmaceuticals were being made in Russia in the last few years? It could have been a huge problem. So there's certain things that, just from a strategic standpoint, you need to make here, number one. Number two, you have to protect jobs, stuff like that. So if we want to make it here, if we can make it here, then you have to think about that, particularly because you have other systems that have the state involved where you have massive leverage and deep pockets that can be behind certain industries. Japan used to have the Keiretsu system. They may still have it. I can't remember. I've got to look at that. In China, they have state behind, stuff. And so and I'm not the only one. So if you have a situation where you have an industry that's being backed by the state, a foreign state with capability, they can dump product. They can destroy local industries and stuff like that in a way. And we can't withstand that. You know what I'm saying? And then, so what will happen is as our industries get destroyed, then they come in and raise the price. I mean, you may have seen there's all these little TikToks out there and YouTube videos and shorts and stuff like that. Like you have two people selling eggs side by side and then they're competing and they're seeing the signs move up and one starts at $1, then the other, had $1.20 and the one with the dollar selling out, and then the one with the $1.20 lowers it to 80 cents. And what happens is this person buys all their eggs and then they raise it to $1.50. It's the same principle, right? Supply and demand. So what they're importantly saying is if we don't make it here, if we do not want to make it here, then why would we raise the prices on consumers? No, we want to get that product in here as cheaply as possible. That's the point. Crucial point right there on tariffs. Any comments you have right now, Paul, before I play the rest of this?
No, look, I mean, again, I mean, I don't want to get too much into the weeds on tariffs. I mean, I think people have a general understanding of it. But yeah, look, the bottom line is this. As President Trump has done, whether it's with the border and talking to Mexico about he's going to put tariffs on their stuff, this is a negotiation tactic. But of course, he will do it if necessary, as he has done with China. It clearly worked, which is why Biden kept a lot of his tariffs. That's what this is all about. And if people are pretending that they don't understand this just to try to smear Trump, people like Andrew Ross Sorkin, he understands this.
And not only that, but I just feel like a lot of these things are a lot more complicated than people think. And Trump is a lot more sophisticated on these issues, and his advisors are than a lot of people think. Let's play the rest of this, and we're going to move on. We have a lot of other stuff to talk about.
Finally, someone's going to protect the American worker, and Donald Trump is here to protect the
Do you think we
American
make
worker.
a lot of money in tariffs, or if they're used as negotiating tactics? Look, tariffs will come down there. We're not going to have super high tariffs here either. There's not going to be a big pot of money at the end of the day.
I love that story. So which is it? Do we make a lot of money on tariffs, or we bring productivity here and we drive up our workers here?
Right. You can't have it both ways. It's either like we're going to make all this money and it's going to be so a big tax on customers, or they're going to come down. You can't have it both. So it's got to be logically consistent. He's going to finish the comments here.
So it's a win-win scenario. I like both of them. I think what's going to happen is we'll make a bunch of money on the tariffs, but mostly everybody else is going to negotiate with us, and we will be more fair.
Just like they already have done. Remember that whole that famous picture where Trump's sitting there and you have Angela Merkel and all these people coming here and talking to Trump? Yeah, because he started hitting them with tariffs. And I mean, if Germany can't export their BMWs and Mercedes, stuff like that, there's problems. Same thing with a lot of the other countries to the U.S. markets. So Trump's already been down this road. It was already working.
1948. Right, we came up with something called the Marshall Plan. Right, the world, Germany and Japan were destroyed after World War II, and we wanted to export our economy to them. So we made a rule: they could tariff us, and we won't tariff them. So they can rebuild. This is the
best explanation I've heard of.
So they can rebuild their economy. We rebuilt their economy using something called the Marshall Plan. Yeah. Our economy is so awesome that we'll use it to help you rebuild. When should that have ended? What do you think? 1980? Right? 1985. I mean, why 40 years are Japan and Germany and all of Europe still tariffing the heck out of our auto industry, tariffing the heck out of our furniture industry? Do you realize all your furniture you're buying that's made far?
So Becky Quick taking a step by Andrew Ross Sorghum. This is knowledge dropping here right now. Okay. And this is the thing. This is what happens is, it's the old Margaret Thatcher line. I keep using it all the time because it's so good. Socialism is great until you run out of other people's money. So, or Max Weber, long time ago, political theorist from Germany. When you have a bureaucracy, they never end. So the idea like, oh yeah, we're America, we can afford this stuff like that. Like we totally helped them with the Marshall Plan. Like it's like there has to be balance. You can't. It's hard to rein these things in, right? In some level of reality, you can't just give away money all over the place, without it affecting here. And we'll talk about that in immigration a little bit later. Maybe we're not going to go too long tonight. It's a lot of us things, and we may even do another show later tonight. We'll see. But let's finish this up.
It seems crazy. Why? It's because they tariff us and we don't tariff them. It's so obvious.
There you go. I mean, that's what I'm saying. This is what I'm talking about. These are obvious points right here. So so we have those things going on. I really wanted to put that up there. And I think it's sinking in, Paul. I think it's starting to happen. And as well as the town halls he did today, as well as JD Vance out there, as well as Elon Musk, you're really seeing people, I think, wake up. I don't know if you want to call it a red pill moment. I don't know what you want to call it. But things are starting to happen. And now you're seeing this huge, you're seeing early voting come in. You're seeing a lot of things happening in the poly market, like the poly market thing. And it makes you wonder, like, has things changed that rapidly, or, was there weird manipulation before? But I'm going to put this up right here. I mean, you've seen a dramatic shift now in the prediction markets here. You had, Trump over Biden for a long time. And then you had, Harris get in there, and then Harris was up. Then it was close. Then it was Harris is up. Oh, Harris is so great. And then you just have this since October, like 4th or 6th, where it was almost tied. You had Harris above. And then now you have, Trump at 57.7 and Harris at 41.3. What do you make of that, Paul?
I think what's happening is that the markets are reacting to various good polls, and they're reacting to the early voting. Like, for example, early voting has begun. Obviously there's early voting with mail-ins in a variety of states, but we're getting in-person early voting now in Georgia. And there was a massive turnout yesterday. Over 300,000 people voted yesterday. Pretty good turnout so far today as well. What people are seeing with that is that would usually you would think that would favor the Democrats, and I'm sure it is helping them. And I know Democrats are enthusiastic about it. However, the number breakdown yesterday, based upon location, because Georgia does not have party ID, so you can't do it by that. You have to look at location and different demographics. Essentially, someone did a chart out, and they basically said the increase that we're seeing, I think, relative to 2020 or whatever it was, overall Trump areas are plus 3% from that vote, and the Democrat areas are minus 3%. So even though you turned out a lot of people, Trump's areas turned out more. And I think the markets are looking at that saying, you know what we're seeing in Virginia, now what we're seeing in Georgia, looks like we're starting to get a trend here. The polls are starting to really go Trump's way. And yeah, this is looking more and more like Trump's race to lose.
Absolutely. And we're seeing Harmeet Dillon on the ground there in Arizona and stuff like that. I want to throw this up here. This is Mark Andreessen, and he just said something sort of interesting here, and I'll let it sort of speak for itself and kind of goes to what I was already talking about. Mark Andreessen, go to the top here. I mean, you're talking about someone that's 1.4 million followers, entrepreneur, A16Z, Menlo Park. Okay. Huge name in the venture capital space. And what he's saying here 6 hours ago, interviews of public figures are gapping out hard between those focused entirely on words and feelings and those focused entirely on substance. Almost none left in the middle. Interesting comments from Mark Andreessen right now. And that's what I'm saying. Like people want results. People want competency. And someone else said that too. And I've been saying it for a while. Like there was a couple weeks where people were checking out Vice President Harris. And I think some people have come to the conclusion that she's just not up for the job. That, particularly in comparison to Trump, and at this time, like this is a serious time. Like there was another thing. I think Elon Musk put it up. I have to try to find it for Elon Musk. And it was so like, it was very, I mean, Elon's, like you said, he's all in. It was definitely out there, but it was an interesting, like little clip or something like that, which is basically like, whoa, Megyn Kelly, that's great to know. Look at this. I may be wrong. I may have to eat my words, and I will happily do so. Well, that's the other thing too. Like, I don't want to be too inside baseball, but let me show this first. Megyn Kelly, Brett is crushing this, and she's incapable of defending her deadly border policies. Good for Brett Baier. And that's good. And that's what was it. There may be, Paul, and some have said this, and I want your comments on this when I go search for something else real quick. And we're not going to go too long here. We're going to definitely wind it down before an hour. Has the media given up on Kamala Harris? You know what I mean? Do they feel like she's going to lose and they have to come out and try to save their credibility? Some have said the media is turned on or to some degree on Kamala Harris, or it's not all softballs now. Why? Do you agree with that? And if so, why do you think that is?
No, I do not think the media has given up on Kamala Harris. In fact, Joe Scarborough this morning was basically saying everything's good, everything's great. We're getting a few polls. Like Marist poll came out today. I can't remember what it was, but it was +5 for her. So they're not going to give up till they have to give up. And on particularly the left-wing media, or the strong left-wing media like NBC. Probably the reason why they're not going to give up on her is because it could have down ballot implications. If it looks like she's completely collapsing, then that could hurt a bunch of other people on the ballot. So they don't want to do that. But I don't think they're ready to totally give up on her. And as I said, because of the massive turnout in Georgia, a lot of people on the Democratic side were able to say and believe that was a good thing for them.
Breaking news here. PBD has something to drop here. Hat tip to PBD. This is big. Here we go.
Okay, so I just finished a conversation with this gentleman here. You may recognize the
Trump's going to be on the PBD podcast.
45, soon to be.
Trump's in the vault.
47.
And I think you'll like it.
Goes out Thursday, 9 a.m. See you there.
Wow. Paul, this goes back to what we're saying. Trump is everywhere. Trump is everywhere. I mean, he's closing strong. He's always closed strong. There's no doubt about it and stuff like that. Like Trump is just all over the place. And so, I mean, I think that Mark Halperin had a very good podcast with Mark Halperin is definitely a liberal person in my opinion. And I think he was really just basically talking about, look, the issues that voters care about, Trump's leading on. The issues that, are favor Harris, not so great. Here we go. This is, and then, well, you got Brett Baer here. I'll have to see this earlier, but basically like, Steve Cortez put this out. Brett Baer, quote, hold on, let me just put this up here. Let me put this up. We'll see. Give Brett his props. Give Brett his flowers here. Here we go. Brett Baer, how many illegals would you estimate your administration has released in this country? Kamala refuses to answer. Brett Baer, your administration immediately reversed the number of Trump border policies. Do you regret? Yes, that's exactly what happened. So good for Brett. So he's doing that. I mean, he's out there, so we're going to see that. And I can't wait to see the whole thing. So listen, I love it. I mean, we need to have visibility with these candidates and see what's going on out there. So, okay, let's move on. So the early, I saw some stuff, Paul, the early voting, it's coming in early. It looks good for Trump. How enthused are you at this point?
I'm very enthused. I think that, look, the turnout is large in Georgia, and it's large, particularly more so or to a greater degree in Trumpy type areas. That's the exact type of thing that we're seeing in Virginia as well. And so what we're seeing now is starting to see trends. In Pennsylvania, we're getting an increase in Republicans requesting absentee ballots. So now this isn't a one data point, it's multiple data points. That's why I think the polling market is moving to the extent that it is. We're starting to see, like, look, the enthusiasm is there. We're seeing it with particular demographics that are favorable to Trump. This is starting to become more real. That doesn't mean it's all wrapped up and everything's done or anything like that, but signs are starting to appear more and more that look favorable for Trump.
To your point right here, Politico on X. This is today. Federal employees are dusting off their resumes and delaying purchases as they fear losing their jobs if Trump wins in November. Quote, we need all the savings we can get. Now, I don't wish anything wrong on anyone, but I mean, it's a lot of VCs, Chamath, the all-in people, Elon Musk, a lot of other people are saying, the government's just too big. When you've got half the people that in some way or another, whether the supplier or they work there or whatever it is that contractor that are dependent on the government at some level, state, federal, local, that's not a healthy thing for the economy overall or the society overall. And we have Elon Musk talking about the different operating systems: North Korea, South Korea, East Germany, West Germany. Now, so there's a lot of things that seem to be going good, a lot of early trends. We don't want to read too much into it. We're going to wind this down here pretty quickly here. I want to go to a couple of things here. And this is the thing here. Like, you have CNN and I haven't even seen this here yet, but basically here you've got where Kamala Harris is like changed so quickly on things like big oil and stuff like that. And I just think that these shifts are too strong, dude. And people are like questioning, like the same thing like Brett Baer just wrote her on the immigration thing. Like, listen, you're saying you're all for a border wall now and doing the photo op down there. I'm not saying those are, in my opinion, that's not what Brett Baer necessarily said. But it was like, basically like, you change the policies immediately. So, I mean, people don't forget this. Like, you can't, the ability to gaslight and memory hold the American people just isn't there anymore, particularly with things like X. I haven't heard this yet, so I don't know what's going to say. Let's see what this says right here.
Left that Kamala Harris got in that 2019 Democratic primary when she was running with Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. She was making this extremely bold promise that she was going.
So basically, when she was running for office before, she was challenged by the left, so they had to kind of move left, right? That's I think what the reporter is saying.
To take the U.S. oil industry, possibly criminally prosecute them for their role in climate change. She compared it to big tobacco, saying they knew the effects of climate change, but they hid it from the public. Now we saw there, fast forward to 2024, what are her and Tim Walz doing? They are touting the record domestic oil production from those same oil companies during the Biden-Harris administration. And well, how big?
Now, time out. This is a CNN K-File senior editor, Andrew Kaczynski. And so this is CNN, dude. Saying that she was basically a climate warrior, dude. I mean, so saying that she was going to prosecute the oil companies. Now she's talking about, oh, I'm for fracking, I'm for oil company. I mean, it's crazy in Pennsylvania, right?
Of a shift is this? Well, take a listen to just one of those comments from 2019.
Will you order your Justice Department and your Attorney General to investigate Chevron and Shell companies for their part in and their damage to our planet in this climate crisis?
I'm saying about these big oil companies and these fossil fuel companies, look, you should be really prepared to look at a serious fine or be charged with a crime. And they need to pay the price. So yes is the answer.
Wait.
Price. So
Wait,
yes is the answer. Charged with a crime. And they need to pay the price.
They need to pay the price, the oil companies.
So yes is the answer.
Yes is the answer. Going after so I mean, like what else do you need to hear? And so how did this shift, this extreme shift? People are like thinking, no, there's no credibility here. Why do you think, and Paul, you're in Pennsylvania, Senator Fetterman was worried and warning that Kamala Harris is not playing in Pennsylvania? Now a lot of Democrats are saying that it should have been Josh Shapiro that was on top of the ticket. In fact, Mark Halperin's reporting, I believe, if I remember correctly, is that Nancy Pelosi wanted Josh Shapiro to be, running for the Democratic nominee for president, not Kamala Harris. So a lot of these things in the infighting, it's coming out. It's starting to unravel. We're 3 weeks away. We're less than 3 weeks away. The pressure has mounted, Paul. No doubt about it. All right, let me close the show here on a couple different things here. I did want to come back to this again. Hat tip, Colin Rugg. This is circulating today too. Oh, surprise, surprise. We've got it. And this is why people are not, there's a lack of credibility, all right, in institutions and a lack, and the media being one of them. You remember that fact check that David Muir did on the ABC debate that on the whole crime statistics. And you had what Trump said here. Here's a less than 30-second clip, a clip here that surprise, that we have a revision. It reminds me of the economic revision. The jobs numbers go down. And as Joe Kernan said, it seems like though these revisions only go one way. Now we've got a revision to the FBI crime statistics, right? That all of a sudden that violent crime increased in 2022 by 4.5%, not decrease. And here we go with what happened in the debate.
Crime is down all over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof. Despite their fraudulent statements that they made, crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But
excuse me, the FBI they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime.
So, Paul, once again, Trump was proven right on this. I mean, how many times do we have to see this happen? We've had and there's a list of these things, the Trump-Russia collusion. There's all these hoaxes, all these different things. There's so many things, statements by the mainstream media, and now Trump proves to be right again. I'm not saying Trump's right 100% of the time, but man, there's been a lot of errors and a lot of misses. I'm not saying that at all, obviously, but there's been a lot of misses by the mainstream media. And for the people that purport to be the fact checkers, now I get it, that a strong press, should have a check on power, if you will, and people, they should be getting to the truth and providing information to the American public. But there's been just a massive amount of misses in the media. And also now we have this revision on the crime statistics, and it appears that Trump is right. Do you expect that we'll get an apology to President Trump on that?
No, I don't. We're not going to get one. I think everybody knows that. And look, this is what I would characterize what actually Molly Hemingway coined this phrase for the Russia stuff, lying by omission. So sometimes they will have the information or have facts, but they don't come out until it's no longer politically important. So suddenly the crime statistics that would have validated what President Trump was saying come out a couple of weeks before the election. Why didn't they come out 6 months ago? These are the statistics being discussed here from 2022. This should already have been out there. But we do know that I think after maybe it was right after the ABC debate, then the second set of statistics, a different set of statistics did come out to validate what he's saying. But again, these information should have been out there some time ago. Shouldn't have to come out at this point in time.
It's really crazy now. And now, in fact, you're talking about an electric world and even a population worldwide that's getting a little bit more, as they would like to say, based, if you will. Here is Vice President Emmanuel Macron, who is left wing, and over in Europe, they've got socialists over there and stuff like that. And look what he says in the lieu of this SpaceX situation. The facts on the ground are changing, players. The facts on the ground are changing. Let's see this. Let's share this right now, and then we're gonna close. We're gonna close up with two things right here: Mark Halperin and Andrew Schultz. Here we go, and let's see what Macron has to say here.
I want to insist on that because it's super important to assess fairly the fact that our former model is over. And this is not a question of adjustment.
Our former model is over. This government-backed stuff, the socialist-backed stuff, like it's over. You can't compete. And what he's saying here is you cannot compete with Elon Musk and the technology and the speed of. I put this on my LinkedIn and my Facebook, stuff like that, because it was the automotive industry, the robotics, stuff like the speed of acceleration of technology and innovation that Musk and his companies are doing is unbelievable. So this is what he's talking about.
This is not the same world, 2024, 2025. And on top of that, we are making the same mistakes on top of the key elements I mentioned. We are over-regulating and under-investing.
Oh, over-regulating. You mean Washington doesn't know best for and everything? Oh my gosh.
So just if in the 2 to 3 years to come, if we follow our classical agenda, we will be out of the market. I have no doubt. I want to.
Wow. In 2 or 3 years, if they don't change, they're out of the market. It's over, dude. And France, they do some space stuff right now. It's over. And so, it's very, very. Now, I'll go to this. I want to go to Andrew Schultz. I want to get Paul's final comments, and then we're gonna go to a really interesting thing that Mark Halperin said on Tucker Carlson. What's going to happen if Trump wins? And I haven't even listened to this before. I don't even know what this is going to say here. I just see the headline. Andrew Schultz. Now, there are people that said that Trump was going to win the election because Trump went on Andrew Schultz's podcast, Flagrant. And apparently a lot of people are talking about stuff. That's what I'm saying. Like there's things that are happening below the level that the media can't understand. Theo Vaughn, PBD podcast. Trump is nonstop. Trump going to UFC. Trump doing the town halls. I mean, there's just so much stuff going on. Vance out there in Pennsylvania. Elon Musk in Pennsylvania, Paul. And I said this before. I said this months ago. The difference in quality and caliber of surrogates in energy and level of engagement between the Trump campaign and the Harris campaign is just dramatic, Paul. Would you agree?
Oh, it's a massive difference. The Trump people are so much better. Whether it's, I'm obviously Vance himself, but people like Vivek, I mean, they're just on a different level, different caliber than I think many of the Harris surrogates, no question.
Here's this clip. Andrew Schultz, Trump is winning by a landslide. It's not even close anymore. I have no idea what it's going to say. Let's find out. And this is Hat Tip Chief Nerd. don't know who that is, it doesn't matter.
Obviously, we got to react to the Trump interview. My reaction is Trump is winning by a landslide.
Okay, well,
it's not close
Right in the
anymore.
middle.
Is that the energy y'all felt?
You're a prisoner of the moment. Yeah, you really are.
We know that about me.
Right.
We know that about me.
Before Trump came on, you're like, yeah, it could go either way. It's very close.
No, before he came on, I was like, he don't got a chance.
Yeah.
I was like, he's coming on here. He got to be down bad. He got to be down. I mean, no, we're the best. He got to be down bad. And then after the interview,
And then-
obviously we saw the reaction.
And you got 20 or 25 text messages, and you were like, this guy's winning.
You know, listen, it wasn't the 20 or 25 text messages. You know what it was? It was the looks on the street.
Oh, really?
The looks on the street.
Yeah.
I was getting, it was like, you know, when like someone who's trying to sell you drugs, like they give you the
Okay, hold on. So this is a really important clip, actually. I don't want to undersell this. You had someone here, and he does stuff with Charlemagne and stuff like that. I would say that Schultz is more like on the left, libertarian, you know, that Roganish, sphere of comedians and that whole land, right? Entertainment land. I think he's out in Hollywood or in LA somewhere. Maybe I'm wrong. And he was saying, I thought Trump was going to lose because that's his worldview. In Hollywood, if you live in Hollywood or New York or DC or Nantucket or one of these places, and all you watch is MSNBC, you hang out with Hollywood, and that's what you think that reality is, then you don't understand. So he thinks Trump's going to lose. Then Trump comes there and blows it away. But not only does it blow it away, but all of a sudden his phone is getting blown up. Okay. That like people from the interview, and then when he goes on the street, people like, oh man, I mean, it had impact. That's what I'm saying. Like and people, you know, it's trendy. Yeah, it's trendy. Let me tell you something. The views that these podcasters are getting is just multiples of the mainstream media out there. And not only that, but it lives on the internet. It's very, very shareable. Now, some people take clips from the TV and stuff like that, but I mean, it's hard to undersell the impact that social media is. Why do you think they flipped out, in my opinion, when Elon bought X and what he's doing with Linda, their CEO, with X, and what Chris is doing with Rumble and others in these platforms, and even YouTube's getting better and stuff like that. Like things are changing, okay, and stuff. And so this is a very, very important comment. So let's continue here.
this like nod, like a person you don't know, like a person on the street. Yeah. Right? They go, you would know. Y'all have no clue.
Schultz is funny, and when he did the roast of Tom, he was good at the roast of Tom Brady and stuff like that. He's a funny dude.
Buy drugs in the street, and I was like, I know that now. I used to give that to people all the time. So they give you this nod, like, yo, like I got what you need.
Yeah.
That's all I've been getting for the last week. Anything else? Anything else we guys learned? You guys learned anything else you want to reflect on? Who do you think wins the election?
I think Trump, he might have it. He's like, I know polls are shit, but he's doing better in polls now than he did in 2016 and 2020.
And he tends to overperform relative to polling on election day.
Right. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Now, some states, apparently like Wisconsin last time they had Trump winning by like 16, 17 points.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, Paul. And I'll stop with this. We'll end on Mark Halper. I'll get your final comments here. We expect the media to be biased. We expect the polls to be a little optimistic for the Democrats, stuff like that. But I think what's happened here is things have happened. It's such an extraordinary things with Butler and space action. There's just so in the hot swap. There's been so much craziness going on, and an economy we've had craziness in the campaign. Number one, number two, we have a time where things are very, very serious, and number three, I don't think we've had a candidate on the Democrat side for a long time that has been this weak as Kamala Harris, and I don't think that she's passing that threshold competency test to be president. Now, I still think it's close. I think one of two things are going to happen. Either it's going to be a close election, one of them will win. I favor Trump, or it's going to be a Trump blowout. And I think that the range of possibilities for Trump is, goes from super narrow loss to big electoral college blowout. I think for Kamala Harris, it's the same thing in reverse, right? It's that she, her ability to win is very narrowly, like she's got like a very, maybe one or two paths to win electoral college. Trump's got a bunch and keep opening up. And we're hearing good things from Arizona, Trump up 5. We're hearing good things from Georgia, early voting and stuff like that. And we're seeing North Carolina poll was Trump +5. So a lot of things happen like that. So your final comments before I want to go to this thing from Halpern, or do you want to comment after the Halpern one?
Look, I think, look, Andrew Schultz, those guys, I mean, obviously they're reacting to what people are telling them. I think there is a general sense. I think that there's a basic feeling out there that Trump's doing well. So, yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. Now, this is interesting from Mark Halpern. And I think it kind of encapsulates a vibe out there because I'm seeing, I'll let it speak for itself. And obviously, I'm going to cut in. And this is on Tucker Carlson. Hat tip to Tucker Carlson. Great interview, as always. And let's hear what this has to say. And again, Colin Rugg pulling the clip here. So he's been doing phenomenal on X in terms of having some interesting clips out there. And again, I'm not endorsing or condoning anyone, but just he had a lot of great clips for this week, for today, really. And here we go. And we have a little wording here. Here we go. Let's rewind it.
Let's say Trump wins 3 weeks from today. What happened?
Time out. I don't know if that's the editing. This is maybe the radio person. I don't know if that's the editing or if that was Tucker, but you might be overcooking that modulation production value there. Someone there, or maybe it's a clip or something like that. Anyway, let's continue.
Happens. The Democratic Party just, as you said, a lot of Democrats, maybe the majority, believe that Trump becoming president again is the worst thing that ever could happen. So how do they respond to that?
I say this not flippantly. I think it will be the cause of the greatest mental health crisis in the history of the country. I don't.
Wow. What he's saying there, and he'll go on that like there are some Democrats that are so invested in this, or like or have TDS. It's different. I mean, obviously, if Kamala Harris wins, a lot of people on our side aren't going to be super happy. But I said before, dude, life goes on. Like, it's going to be okay. She's in office right now. One way or the other. Obviously, it's an important election. Obviously, we want to see Trump win and like that. But there are some people, and part of it, maybe the media, and I don't want to sit here and point fingers, but there's been this super buildup of Trump as the ultimate evil, and it's the world's going to end if Trump's elected. No, it's not, dude. He was in office not that long ago. It's okay. It's the same thing. Like every so often, if the Republican wins, these Hollywood celebrities, we're going to Canada. They don't go anywhere. It's just dude, it's fine. Let's continue.
I think tens of millions of people will question their connection to the nation, their connection to other human beings, their connection to their vision of what their future for them and their children could be like. And I think that will require an enormous amount of access to mental health professionals. I think it'll lead to trauma in the workplace. I think there'll be some degree of.
Are you being
serious? 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so like Tucker's like, wait a minute, are you real? Are you saying this? I mean, especially coming from someone like Halpern, Halpern is really establishment type of dude, connected on the left, everything. I mean, Halpern's an insider, dude. I mean, for Halpern to be saying this, Paul, that's a big statement. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it is. It is a big statement, but unfortunately, I mean, we saw what happened in 2016, so it's not like it's really unprecedented. Look,
the primal screams, the hats, and all the pink shirts, all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm hoping that if and when Trump wins, that people can start to move on.
Right.
In the sense that he's not running for re-election again.
Right.
This is the last election he's going to have. People can settle in. There's no more Russia hoaxes and so on and so forth. So hopefully, I don't know if it's going to be to that extent. I'm sure there will be a dramatic reaction, but I don't think we're going to get months and months of resist and this type of thing. Or I hope not. And honestly, I think not.
Let's see a little bit more of this and then we'll wind up.
Serious. 100% serious. I think there'll be alcoholism. There'll be broken marriages.
Crazy.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy.
They think he's the worst person possible to be president, and having won by the hand of Jim Comey and Fluke in 2016, and then performed in office for 4 years and denied who won the election last time, and January 6th, the fact that under a fair election, America chose by the rules pre-agreed to Donald Trump again, I think it will cause the biggest mental health crisis in the history of America. And I don't think it will be kind of a passing thing that by the inauguration will be fine. I think it will be sustained and unprecedented and hideous. And I don't think the country's ready for it.
So mental health crises often manifest in violence.
Yeah, I think there'll be some violence. I think there'll be workplace fights.
All right, let me continue on that. Listen, here's the thing. You know what? People have to calm down. Okay? People have to calm down. That's what I'm talking about. We need leaders to get people to come together and chill out. It's one thing to win a campaign and stuff like that, but like that's craziness. The fact that we're in this point is craziness. And like what Paul was saying, like hopefully we'll be beyond it. Like you look at Elon Musk, you look at Silicon Valley, like I think the message is really like we want to get back to work again. We want to get things going. We want to have fun again. We want to dream of big things. We want to like we're tired of all this animosity and who'd you vote for? Like we're sick of all the politics, everything politicized. I don't want my sports like dude, we want to move on. So I do think that the current situation is looking really, really good for Trump. And my wife made some awesome food. It smells. It's great. I'm going to wind down here. And I think that, we'll see. So I'm looking forward to seeing this Brett Baier interview. I want to appreciate you guys for being out there. Paul, any final words before we go?
Yeah. The bottom line on the mental health crisis type thing is this. We've exhausted most of the hoaxes. Now, of course, if Trump wins, there will be more upcoming because he's governing, but I just don't think that there is the same leverage points. We can't do another Russia. Like there aren't likely to exist the same type of opportunities to fuel these types of hoaxes, which give rise and further these mental health supposed crises of different people. That's one of the reasons why I think things will get better sooner than what I think Mark Halper might believe.
Yeah, and look, we have lots of liberal people in my family and stuff like that. We got to get back to like having fun, loving each other, talking about stuff. What's good is that we're finally getting into more policy stuff, talking about different visions, stuff like that, and we get to vote. We get to see what American people think about that. So anyway, another great show. Really appreciate you out there. Also want to give shouts out to hold on, our team here. Let's see here. I can't see it here. Let's see. 1 second. I want to give some thanks to people before we get out of here real quick. Here, yeah, let's do that. Want to thank Christy Leitner, EDF, Windmill, Kathy, Julie for retweeting us out there, and for Six Strings and some others, and Naomi Jenkins, Six Strings. We got a lot of engagement here. We definitely appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you guys out there. We definitely appreciate everyone on all the various platforms, YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, X, and the rest. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next time. For Paul Villarreal, I am John D. Villarreal. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.